Hey everyone, Mac is back, and today we're going to talk about the refinement, something that's gone over, people have gone over several times, but I want to just kind of break it down into three different categories. If you are a rally leader, if you are a rally filler, or if you're not really a combatant and you're more of just a farmer or more of a passive player for events, then you can be very effective with the refinement as well. So let's jump right into it. So what I want to do first is talk about, or I want to put these, I wanted to kind of show a visual of what I think is most important when it comes to each category. So we have the rally leader, the rally filler, and the farmers, or I guess I could have put non-combatants in there. But that's basically what the three categories are of players. And when it comes to the rally leader, I think the most important is the rally size expansion, and followed by total attack, which can be interchanged. I think they're both extremely important. The attacks of the three troop types, the enemy attack reduction, the health, and the army size, and then the frontline health. Now, the reason I have the frontline health here at the end is because you still want to have them be able to take a certain amount of damage as well. So that's kind of the least importance when it comes to all of these, because you can find other places to get health, especially with the health badges that you can have, because you can have 8 of those and make that 200% very, very quickly. And then the rally filler, of course, you want that army size to be that first one. And then, like I said, since you're not using the stats of the rally leader, you are using the stats of rally leader. The total attack and these attacks don't mean as much, but at the same time, you still want these types of stats for when you do some solo attacks. And if you ever do, grow enough to be able to become a rally leader, you're going to want to increase those as well, because you can find those other stats at other places. Now, the farmer, the biggest ones here are the endurance, motivation, research, rally size expansion, the reinforcement capacity, and last but not least, and not so much so, as the hospital capacity and speed. And I will go into these more into detail. So when you jump into your refinement, you can see that there are 8 different slots for all of your different buffs, and you have to upgrade those buffs or upgrade those pieces of equipment to a certain level, to a certain status, before you can upgrade these in the refinement. So you have to do that. You have to kill enough rebel leaders to be able to increase your quality in here, the quality of equipment, and then you also have to do the research in the Maester's Tower. So it's just something that's very basic to figure out. And one thing that I can show you in here is that, so for instance, this first one here, I have all 4 of them unlocked. However, if I click over here, you can see that I only have 3 of these unlocked. So right here it says to unlock after obtaining a golden quality of the offhand equipment. So I would have to go to my offhand equipment and make sure that it's golden before I'll be able to unlock this piece to throw another buff in here as well. So one quick tip, since we are talking about this, is that if you do get these 3 in here, that find 3 that work for you really, really well. Like I said, I'm going to go over those later, but find the 3 that work for you really well. Put those 3 in here and then upgrade them as much as you can. Because the reason I say that is, if you look down here, the cost is 30 compared to the other ones is 40, because each one of these costs 10 of the refined rough to be able to upgrade. So what you're going to want to do is upgrade these 3 as quickly as possible. Especially like here, I have total attack, so this is the one that I'm upgrading, because total attack is one of the better buffs in the game. So just make sure that you're doing that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the different types of players that are out there, and the 3 that I had mentioned were the rally leaders, the rally fillers, and the combatants, or the non-combatants, or the farmers. So first I'm going to talk about the rally leaders. And the rally leaders, if you click on the stats button down here, it shows you all these different, all the different, buffs you can get in the refinement, which is absolutely fantastic. And what you need to do is put a check the box next to the one that you're trying to get, or the one that you want, as you can see that I've done here. Now, when we're talking about a rally leader, you are one of the stronger members in your alliance. you're someone who's going to be in, during KVK, during any type of battle, you'll be the one that'll be leading those rallies, or at least part of those leading those rallies. So for instance, maybe one of your other alliance mates will be reading rallying someone, and you'll maybe be the next one to go. You may have to be the second rally. So it really just depends, but you'll be one of the tougher ones to beat. So what I would recommend for those types of alliances, or those types of people who are in there for refinement, is the rally size expansion, because you want the most troops in your rally as possible. So make sure that is checked, because the rally size expansion is absolutely vital for that. A lot of people will think that the army size buff would be worth it as a rally leader as well. It's not as much. I mean, you're going to put your troops in there, but it's important to an extent. Just depends on a lot of factors involved, of course. Something you're also going to want, which is one of the most coveted, is the total attack, because you want to have the most, you want to hit with the most power. And there's also the enemy army attack reduction. Don't worry about the health reduction or defense reduction, because again, as you know, the health and defense are just for that front line. So the attack reduction is much better, because if they are defending while you're rallying them with more than one troop type, then this becomes very effective. If they're defending with 3 troop types, or all troop types, then this is the most effective at that point. So that's why that can be really, really good. Now, if they're only defending with 1 troop type, and then this actually decreases and is not as effective. However, if they're only, you're going to be able to find out if they're only defending with 1 troop type, and if they are, you can counter that very easily. So I would say they're gonna be at least more than 1 in there. So it's not something you should be too concerned about. Other than that, the other ones you want to look at are the attacks, the individual attacks. So like a spearman attack. Then you have the infantry attack and the cav attack. So make sure you have those checked if those are the stats that you desire, and those can be buffed immensely. As you can see, my spear is up to almost 150%, and that's something that you're going to want as well, because the attack in this game is most vital. And we talked about the other ones as well. Let me see what else we have here. Yeah, we have the total attack and the attack reduction, the attacks of each one, and then leave the rest alone. Don't worry about some of the other ones too, like the total defense, total health. Again, they're very similar to the attack and health. The health and defense reduction. So it's only for that front line. So they're very overrated stats. I mean, and plus you're only going to get 15 for these per slot. So for the total attack, if you have all 8 slots, you're looking at what is that, 60? Yeah, so you're not. It's not enough, basically, is what I'm trying to say, to be able to help you out in that respect. There is a thought that you're trying to decrease the morale of that front line as much as possible. So if you have a enemy health reduction or a defense reduction, that's effective at reducing that morale of that front line of theirs, which will actually win the battle for you. I'm not always in the mindset of winning the battle as much as doing the most possible damage I can to that person. I would rather lose the battle and do the most damage, have the most deaths or most, whatever it may be. But I would rather do the most damage about killing more than I would want to actually what the game considers to win the battle. Okay, so now say you are a rally filler. Say you're not going to be rallying people, but you're going to port in and you're going to send troops to that rally to try to fill it as quickly as possible with the most troops as you can. So the different buffs that you're going to want to go after are at this point, the army size buff becomes vital in this case, because you want to send the most troops. So you want to have the most troops available. So if you can send 800 and 900,000 or more troops into that rally, that would be very beneficial. And if that rally leader has the capacity to be able to hold that many troops, then you can be very effective. And the biggest reason is the amount of army size that you have will actually reduce the number of alliance mates that have to join the rally. So you don't have to have as many in the rally So you can have, so say for instance the rally leader has a 4 million rally size expansion. Well, if the rally size is 4 million, then each one, if you have a million, and if each person has 1 million troop deployment, then you only need 4 people in there, and those 4 people to fill it up would be so much better than having, say you can only have 500,000. Then we're doubling that, and it's not, just takes too long. It's not as effective, and it's very difficult to get that coordination. It takes a lot more coordination. But so that's the one, probably the very first one that I would go after as well. Again, the total attack is going to be vital as well, because you always want the, I guess as a rally filler, you're using the rally leader's stats. So the total attack isn't as vital for you in that aspect, but even if you're filling, you're still probably an attacker. So the total attack has to be up there near the top of something that you want to do. And then also the total attack. So the not total attacks, but the troop attacks. So the spear attack, cav attack, and the infantry attack are very vital as well. And of course the enemy attack reduction. So those ones are really good. Again, you're going to be using the stats of the rally leader. So if you really don't care, if you're not much of a fighter and all you're going to do is participate in the rally, then the army size is going to be something that you're really going to want. And then after that, it really doesn't matter too much. I mean, you could do a rally army marching speed. That's just going to be when your troops return to your castle, but you're going to be using speed ups anyway, so that's kind of pointless, I think, in that respect. And then the rest of it that you have up here, if you're, like I said, if you're not much of a fighter and you're just going to throw troops in to participate in these rallies for these attacks, then you're not going to want any of these, the research, the training possibly, but I would say the hospital actually would be good, the speeding and the speed and the capacity, because if you're participating in those rallies and all your buffs, your stats aren't going to count, then to be able to heal those troops that are going to be wounded, then I would recommend those ones as well. So it really just depends on how you feel you want to do it in that respect. And the final characteristic that you can be, or final type of player you are, is either a non-combatant or a farmer. So my one of my accounts is a I don't want to say he's a farmer, but he's more of a to help the alliance, and that's what you kind of want with that type of account. It's one thing to have it as a bank where it stores all your resources and maybe produces gold or grain or something like that. But the biggest thing that I want to say with it is that you want to get the motivation recovery and the endurance recovery, because if you have those, then you can well, first of all, you can kill a lot of rebel groups and do a lot of upgrading there with your equipment, and then you can also kill a lot more rebel leaders, and that's the biggest thing. When you get those rebel leaders, you're really helping out your alliance, killing them. So like with my other account, the motivation recovery bonus is really high on it. I have that one on every single piece of equipment, so I have 8 of those, and as I gradually increase that, I can kill. I'm killing level 3 rebel leaders, every day, probably. I can't even, I have to go look and see exactly what the number is, but the number's pretty high. I want to say it's like a 10 to 15 of those a day, maybe more. I'm not even sure. I just know that it recovers so fast when you do that. So those are the first 2 that are, I think, vitally important. And like, again, if you're not attacking, then you really don't need any of these, most of these down in here, because they're all about battle. And another one would be the research speed, because you're going to be doing a lot of research. You don't need the training. You really don't need a hospital capacity or the hospital speed. You could use those for something later. If you're gonna if you're going to be doing something, I guess, where you have to be unbubbled, maybe if you're scouting or something like that and you have a few troops in there, highly unlikely that's going to happen, though, if you're not really one that's fighting. One thing that I would recommend, other than the motivation, endurance, and research, those are the 3 top ones, I believe. The other 2, what I would say, reinforcement capacity and the rally size expansion. And the reason that I say that is that when you are fighting, when your alliance mates are fighting, they need a place to hide their troops. So if you have the reinforcement reinforcement capacity and the rally size expansion increased significantly, then they can actually hide more troops in your castle that's bubbled, and that is vital to them surviving, and you're actually helping out your alliance mates. So if you are someone who's not much of a fighter, those would be highly recommended. You know, there's also the thought of the rally marching speed, army marching speed as well, because if you're going to participate in those rebel camps, then to get your troops back to and from will to and from, it's actually going to be very fast for you, so you don't have, you can get on with other things. But like I said, is it that important compared to those other ones? I would say most definitely not. The two main ones are the endurance and the motivation, and right in there too is probably the research speed. But once you get your research speed to about 300%, then anything beyond that is the increase is not as significant to reducing the amount of time it takes to complete your research. I hope that makes sense. So that's pretty much for what I wanted to talk about today. I just want to kind of go in a kind of an overview of things. Like I said, there's a lot of different, you know, kind of garbage in here that you can look at, but it can be a little confusing when it comes to, you know, like the total health, total defense, and the attack or the reductions over here, because some of these reductions you kind of think that they're really good, but at the same time, you know, I'm more, like I said, I'm more of the do the most damage you can to your opponent. I even know that morale factor is in there, so for that front line. So you know, totally up to you, but how you feel about how, you know, doing that. You know, it's easy to just go and watch some battles that you've had where, you know, you've had certain, you know, stats, and just actually physically, you know, just go in there and watch it. You know, click on that play button and see what happens. So so until next time, next video, Mac out.